Welcome to our tutorial on critical path method. In this video, we are learning computation of the earliest start, latest start, and critical path with a most simplified approach. So let's get started. Consider a network diagram as shown in figure 1. The duration of activities in weeks are shown above the activity arrow in the diagram. Let us determine the early starting time, latest starting time in respect of all the node points and identify critical path. Now let us approach the solution in three parts. First, forward pass computation to determine the earliest start or occurrence time of all activities. Second, backward pass computation to determine the latest allowable time of all activities. And third, calculation of total float time and determination of the critical path. We will start with the forward pass computation to determine the earliest time for all activities. In this method, the computation begins at the start node and progresses towards the end node. For simplicity, the forward pass computation assumes the earliest start time for the starting event as 0. Therefore, for starting event 1, ES1 is equal to 0. Let us do the remaining computation in tabular format as shown here. In the table, column 1 shows the event number. Column 2 enlists the activities ending at event number shown in column 1. Column 3 represents the duration of activity shown in column 2. Column 4 shows the earliest starting time of start event I for an activity ij. And column 5 shows the computation of earliest start time of end event j for an activity ij. To start the computation, enlist all the event numbers of network from 1 to 8 in ascending order in column 1. For event 1, there is no activity ending, hence no duration and no start time of end event. The earliest start time of event 1 is already known, which is 0. At event 2, activity 1-2 is ending with duration 8. The early start time of event I is ES1, which is 0, and early start time of event J, ES2, is equal to ES1 plus duration of activity. This results in 8. At event 3, activity 2-3 is ending with duration 13. The early start time of event I, ES2, is recently calculated as 8. The early start time of event J, ES3, is equal to ES2 plus duration. This is equal to 21. Activity 2-4 is ending at event 4. The duration is 10. The early start time of event I, ES2, is 8. And early start time of event J, ES4, is equal to ES2 plus duration. This is equal to 18. Similarly, we can do the remaining calculations for event 5, where activity 2-5 is ending, and for event 6, where activity 4-6 is ending. At event 7, three different activities are ending. First, activity 3-7, second, activity 5-7, and third, activity 6-7. Now, compute the early start time of event 7, that is ES7 for activity 3-7. This is equal to 37. For activity 5-7, ES7 is equal to 27. And for activity 6-7, it is equal to 39. Select the maximum value among these three values. Hence, the early start time of event 7 is 39. At event 8, only activity 7-8 is ending. Hence, the early start time ES8 is computed as 47. Now, Let us compute the latest finish times for all the events using backward pass method. The computation begins from the end node and proceeds towards the first node in backward direction. Before starting this computation, ensure the earliest start time for all events have already been calculated using the forward pass method. We need to assume that the latest finish time for end event of the network is equal to earliest start time of that event. Therefore, the latest finish time for the end event 8 LF8 is equal to 37. Let us do the remaining computation in tabular format as shown here. In the table, column 1 shows the event number. Column 2 enlists the activities starting from an event number shown in column 1. Column 3 represents the duration of an activity shown in column 2. Column 4 shows the latest finish time of an end event j for an activity ij. And column 5 shows the computation of latest finish time of start event I for an activity ij. To start the computation, enlist all the event numbers of network from event 8 to 1 in descending order in column number 1. For event 8, there is no activity starting from the event. Hence, no duration and no latest finish time of the start event. The latest finish time of event 8 LF8 is already known, which is 47. At event 7, activity 7.8 is starting with duration 8. The latest finish time of event j is LF8, which is 47, and latest finish time of event I LF7 is equal to LF8 minus duration. This is equal to 39. At event 6, activity 6.7 is starting with duration 8. The latest finish time of event 7 LF7 is recently calculated as 39. Therefore, the latest finish time of event 6 LF6 is equal to LF7 minus duration. This is equal to 31. Similarly, we can do the calculations for event 5 where activity 5.7 is starting, for event 4 where activity 4.6 is starting, and for event 3 where activity 3.7 is starting. From event 2, 3 different activities are starting. First, activity 2.3, second, activity 2.4, and third, activity 2.5. Now, for activity 2.3, compute the latest finish time of event 2, that is LF2. This is equal to 10. For activity 2.4, LF2 is equal to 8, and for activity 2.5, it is equal to 20. Select the minimum among these three values of LF2 as latest finish time of event 2. Here it is 8. From event 1, only activity 1.2 is starting. Hence, the latest finish time LF1 is computed as 0. In next stage, let us do the computation of float time for all the activities in tabular format. In this table, column 1 enlists the activities, column 2 shows the duration of respective activity, column 3 shows the earliest start time of event I, which are already calculated using forward pass method in stage 1. In column 4, the earliest finish time of event j is calculated by adding earliest start time with activity duration. While in column 5, the latest start time of event I is computed by deducting duration from latest finish time of event j. Column 6 shows the latest finish time of event j, which are already computed using backward pass method in stage 2. In column 7, the float time is computed by subtracting earliest start time from latest start time. Now, let us start the computation. Consider the first activity 1.2. Duration is 8. Earliest start time for event 1 is 0 and latest finish time for event 2 is 8. Now calculate the earliest finish time, which is equal to earliest start time plus duration of activity. Here it is 8. Then compute the latest start time, which is equal to latest finish time minus duration. Here it is 0. The float time can be calculated as latest start time minus earliest start time. Here we get it equal to 0. Next, consider the second activity 2-3. Duration is 13. Earliest start time for event 2 is 8 and latest finish time for event 3 is 23. The earliest finish time is calculated as 21 and the latest start time is computed as 10. Finally, the float time can be calculated as 2. Similarly, we will do all the computation for activity 2-4, activity 2-5, activity 3-7, activity 4-6, activity 5-7, activity 6-7 and activity 7-8. Now, let us get the critical activities. The activities with zero total float value are known as critical activities. Hence, from the table, activity 1-2, 2-4, 4-6, 6-7 and 7-8 are critical activities having zero value of a total float. Finally, let's get the critical path. The critical path is the sequence of critical activities in a network. Therefore, based on the critical activities, the critical path is 1-2, 2-4, 4-6, 6-7 and 7-8. Here in the network diagram, we can observe that all the events which are along the critical path have the same earliest start time and latest finish time, while the remaining events are having the different values. Based on this, we can find the critical activities and critical path before the tabular computation of the float time by simply selecting the activities with same earliest start and latest finish time.